Hello, my name is Tim Held, and I am here to introduce you to the Bleep Bloop 2000. What you see here in my hand is actually a fake module. It's a joke module. My friend Jenny took a funny picture of me and made this for me for my birthday. And it was a joke for a while that we would make it into a real module. And then Lenny from After Later Audio said, why don't we actually do that? And I was a little reticent because it's pretty goofy, as you can see, but we did it, and it actually turned into something I'm quite proud of. So what is the Bleep Bloop 2000? Well, it's relatively simple. It's 4 oscillators that all come out of one output. The oscillators all go from LFO to audible range. So around noon on each knob is when you start getting into the audible range. So the Bleep Bloop 2000 can be an excellent drone source for audio, or it can be a really, really interesting CV source, as we will see later in this video. There is voltage control over each one of the oscillators, the frequency of the oscillators, the A or DARF, B clonk, C persh, or D sumses. But there's no 1 volt per octave control because this is made to be more of an exploratory experimental module. There's also a VCA that controls the output, so you can feed an LFO or an envelope into that. And then there is a crossfade section, or the OLBS section, and a corresponding CV in. Now what that does is it balances between 4 different wave types. So in the Splarf 1 position with the crossfade knob all the way to the left, you have 4 triangle waves. And as you move the crossfade to the right, you start blending in the 4 sine waves. And when you get all the way to the right side, you have 4 sine waves. In the Splarf 2 position, all the way to the left, you have 4 square waves. And as you go to the right, you get 4 triangle waves. Let's explore some of the sounds that the Bleep Bloop 2000 can make. Let's explore the BB2K as a control voltage source. So what I'm going to do is run the BB2K on the right in audio mode into the filthy filter from After Later Audio, and then I'm going to modulate the cutoff of the filter with the BB2K on the left. As you can see, I'm passing the signal from the BB2K on the left into the Modcast data, so you can see the waveforms, so you can get a visual representation of what we're going to be doing with the cutoff. But before I start turning any of the knobs up on the control voltage source, notice how the green line, which is representing the wave or the signal coming out of the Bleep Bloop, is slowly rising and it'll slowly fall. That's because these oscillators are all moving extremely slowly right now. So as I turn the DARF or A frequency up, you'll notice we'll start getting into a nice little sine wave. And then you'll see that sine wave kind of start going up and down slowly because it's following the frequency of the other ones that are turned down. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So as you can see, as I turn the crossfade to the left, we get into a triangle. And then if I flip the splarf switch, we go into square and then into triangle. So let's go back to the sine wave and let's turn the volume up here. So we've got the low pass filter output going into the mixer here. And we've just got that triangle wave controlling the frequency. Let's open that up so you can just hear what the original signal sounds like. So that's fun, but here's where it starts to get really fun, is when you start blending the frequencies together in interesting ways from the other oscillators. You can actually start generating some pretty interesting rhythmic patterns with it. And then the crossfade is always fun to use, especially in the Splarf 2 mode, going from triangle to square wave. So let's just feed a simple sine wave into the crossfade crossfade CV in. Using BB2K as a CV source is way more fun when you start injecting some external CV into the different oscillator CV inputs. And of course, you can use the crossfade and the VCA along with that. So you can get a lot of crazy sounds out of it. And what's really interesting is you can use it almost as kind of an unstable or dynamic matrix mixer. So we've got one output coming from the BB2K into the cutoff of the filthy filter. But we can potentially use 4 different CV sources to control that cutoff via the BB2K. So for instance, if I turn up the A oscillator, I am controlling that with the triangle in of the Benjamin. So you can even get some pretty cool mixtures of audio rate stuff with CV sources by blending these two together. It's not really blending, you're actually controlling the A oscillator with the CV of the Benjamin, but you know, you get my drift. And then we can bring in the B, and that is being controlled by the triangle from oscillator 2 of the Benjamin. C is being controlled by one LFO from Rainier. And D is being controlled by the other LFO from Rainier. So the reason I say it's like a dynamic or unstable matrix mixer is because all of these oscillators are going to be oscillating at all times. It's just when you turn them all down, there's not a whole lot going on. So that actually could be really useful for some ambient patches, because you've got the cycling of these oscillators, but as they get a little bit higher, you can start to hear the influence of the external modulation going into their independent CV inputs. And then, of course, just doing a mixture is where the real fun is. Throw some throw some signals into the crossfade. Thank you for watching this demo. More information about the Bleep Bloop 2000 can be found at afterlateraudio.com.